Nicholson.
That's, I guess I have to ask these questions because the report, the minutes of the committee didn't explain the rationales at all, how the committee got these answers. I'd like to direct, first of all, a question through the chairman, possibly chairman answer. What is the cost in the department of processing a rezoning application fee?
You mean including staff time, advertising?
Everything.
Tom would better answer that in terms of hours, but I mean, if you were just to advertise one, I think the newspaper cost is alone is $750.
An average cost, just a ballpark figure.
Maybe.
Varies from application to application.
But I would. I think you got that broken down that finely.
Mr. Mayor, the cost of processing a rezoning application, of course, depends on the complexity of the rezoning application, the number of times we go through iterative processes in getting it approved, whether we have an OMB hearing or not, etc. It's very difficult to assign a given cost as a blanket cost for any application. However, all I could say is that the cost of processing a zoning application oftentimes far exceeds the amount of money that we obtain as a application fee. Similarly for official plan amendments, site plan agreements, etc.
Okay. That actually meets my purposes, Mr. Chairman. I think the chairman has clearly said the cost to the city of processing the application far exceeds, his words, the amount of money that the developer pays in his application fee. Now, the only person who can make up the difference between that actual cost and the application fee cost is the taxpayers of the city of Oshawa. So in effect, what we have, and I think the only way you can describe it, is a subsidy of the development process by the taxpayers of the city. And I guess in my mind, contrary to an opportunity presented to us by the Planning Act. The Planning Act says we can recover up to 100% of our costs in the processing of a fee. We have chosen to not collect 100% of that fee. I think it's really unfair. I think it's unfair that we put ourselves in a position, as we did 3 weeks ago, where we hit the local improvement rate again so that when you build a street, the neighboring property owner, they have to pay a set percentage of the actual cost. But here we don't have any real basis to judge this particular fee or the proposed fees as a percentage of actual cost. And I don't think they're very logical in setting up a fee when we don't even know what our costs are. Surely if we're going to have a fee, we should set it as a percentage of actual costs. I don't see why the taxpayers of the city have to continue to subsidize the development industry. Very bluntly, and I know it's not popular with some of the aldermen here who tend to unequivocally support the development industry, they are being subsidized by our taxpayers. And they're not hurting. You know, they are making profits well and above what we would consider acceptable in this city. The price of housing in this city in the last 4 or 5 years, in some neighborhoods, and my own in particular, has doubled. And therefore the profit, when you buy a new home, you know, is going to the developer and the builder that builds the home. Surely, if they're going to get the profit from that development, they should pay the full costs of processing that development. They pay for the road, they pay for the building, they pay for the land, they pay for the builder's fees. Surely they should also pay for the application fees to process their own applications. Is that not a fair way of dealing with a profit-making industry? To say, if you're going to derive a profit from the work of our staff, surely then you should reimburse the city for that staff time, which has then resulted in you getting a profit. Otherwise, they simply are getting free staff time. That's what they're getting. Rather than hiring their own planners and their own processors and getting all this information, you know, done to the letter so they can be handed in and basically rubber stamped by our staff, they're handing in applications that require our staff a considerable amount of work to make sure that they're ready to be put onto the books. And they're not paying for it. Our taxpayers are paying for that. And I really believe that's wrong. Now, some may raise that if we do that, we'll make it a situation where we want to attract development here. Well, we can offset that by lowering the levy fees. At least then we'd have some basis to say why the levies are collected, or why an application fee is collected. The same amount of money comes in, but at least we have a reasonable basis on to base our standards. I don't think we should continue to subsidize developers who will make profits from our homeowners, and I don't think we should continue to provide what in essence is free staff time to someone who's making profits on the backs of our taxpayers. I don't think it's right. I think we should change the policy.
Alderman Wiley.
There's only one thing that's basically wrong with that scenario that Alderman Nicholson speaks to. He seems to indicate that only developers come in for rezoning applications. You know, individual members of the public come in for the, so you're saying that just an individual member of the public should also pay the total cost? Are you talking now about rezoning applications or all of the fees we have here?
Any individual comes in to a new subdivision.
No, I'm talking about, let's say, I'm talking about committee of adjustment. Like we had a group of people here from Richmond Street who would have to come in, and you're saying that they should pay the full cost.
If they are making a profit from that.
Oh, come on. Oh, no.
What's the matter with the profit, Brian?
No, I don't agree with
Order,
that.
please. Alderman Kolodzy, you're out of order, please. Alderman Kolodzy, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. I'll put you on the order paper.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to say that if that's the case, then, you know, there can't be one thing for one group of people and then one thing for another. That's totally, completely unfair.
Excuse me, I notice, Alderman Kolodzy, you've already spoken to the matter once, which probably is the reason why you outbursted knowing that you couldn't legally get back on the order paper. But are there other speakers, or can I put the question? Those in favor of item number 3? Those opposed? The motion is carried. Are there